most of them, apart from Superpluke, who won Season 2 on Eagle Gaming, then to be said, one of the best GOATS teams in the world, they haven't really seen so much success. Kenzie and Chow, of course, having that curse placed upon them when they were on CS Open Windstrike, have only ever really claiming 3rd, 4th in Contenders and never seeing a finals. So this is their chance for a turnaround, their redemption.
It's also worth noting, current Brigida player for Young and Beautiful, Flippy, was an alumni of Eagle Gaming, both Season 2 champion, so he is going up against his former teammate in Superpluke, potentially wanting for a spot on that on the Paris representing roster. Every Frenchman would in Overwatch, right? Going to be a quick engagement here. Crandop put into the corner. Going to be a big fire strike coming through from Superpluke. And looks like the high ground is going to be claimed here by Young and Beautiful.
That really felt like Young and Beautiful were like, they must have a Mei, right? They've got to have a Mei. We've got to speed through ASAP. It did actually look like their Crandop actually fell off the top, potentially. Or he got booped. I'm not entirely sure. We didn't see it on the camera, but he ended up on the floor, rounded upon rather easily by the rest of Eternal Academy. They are just going to go for the reset. Of course, they've still got a lot more time, but these pushes, when they go like this, when they want to take a position, it does burn so much more time than just rushing straight to the point itself.
At least in that brawl, Jonah did get a little bit of ult charge ahead of Kenzie at the moment, about 25% off the way ahead. Superpluke is ready with that Earth Shadow. This could mean Crandop could be aggressed upon. Just try and get a little bit of extra damage onto that shield, make him try and rotate it to keep that health up, and let Superpluke wipe the entirety of Young and Beautiful rather easily with that ultimate.
See where Askov is playing as well. Up on the high ground. That was an extremely nice boop. Sent everybody from Young and Beautiful so low. Crandop more so than anybody else who was trying to play frontline. Gonna have to go for, again, a very, very small bit of downtime here to make sure they can get their health back. You can see Danny only just received the armor pack, so they're actually not going to be able to have this when they do rotate on this high ground.
Does look like Askov got caught out there. No boops this time, and now Young and Beautiful will be able to control the engagement, especially considering they have the Graviton Surge ready to go.
Okay,
What?
Kenzie was actually caught out completely on the other side of that structure. You saw Superpluke get dragged in as well, but he wasn't actually killed off, but that might be enough, or might be all that they need. In fact, he's going to lay down a Shatter too in the sidelines. Crandop also falls, so now actually Eternal Academy have the HP advantage and shield advantage too. A beast coming out through from Young and Beautiful. Crandop is going to spawn and be able to get back to this fight rather easily, but double support ult usage from Eternal Academy as they use that rally alongside that Transcendence. Even a beat coming through now as well. Self-destruct on the point, uses Jonah's personal shield and a beautiful boop on Superpluke, but he just charges straight back to the rest of his team.
Kenzie's back now, ready to use that Graviton Surge at moment's notice. There is for self-destruct, not going to catch anyone, and there's for grab.
Nice grab on the bell in the center. Now Superpluke can swing in, generate so much ult charge, and he's done himself another Shatter, but too late. Crandop already sent you to the ground as well as Kenzie. Superpluke ends up falling. And after the longest, brawliest fight on first point, Young and Beautiful should be able to secure it. Zeal's going to fall. Tri-Spear also donating his body to the ult banks of Young and Beautiful. They're going to be able to cap and move on to second.
For the moment, the bell will toll for Eternal Academy as Young and Beautiful get a point on the board, but not very quickly, Jaws. About 2 minutes and 50 seconds were elapsed in that capture, which means they'll have about 5 minutes to try and take second. But this is a far harder point to take than the first point of Hanamura, especially given how well Eternal Academy will be able to reinforce themselves using those close spawn points. Superpluke getting a little bit aggressive here. He wants that Shadow, wants his revenge on Crandop, or will be booped back.
Nice positioning here as well from Superpluke. See, trying to get that angle so that one person has to face one way. That being the Reinhardt, of course. Transcendence on top of the enemy grab. Crandop is going to go down, and Jonah, yeah, he doesn't really stand a chance right now. As soon as your Reinhardt's dead, it's pretty much as good as done for your team in these 3-3 fights. But Superpluke's positioning, Harry, let's go back to that, because that was really interesting. The way he just positioned himself and forced the rest of Young and Beautiful near that mini health pack. It's like, are you going to drop shield and swing? Because I can get a 6-man Shadow right now.
Oh, this is a big stagger. Flippy gets... oh, he actually gets released.
Oh,
this could be a terrible stagger onto Flippy.
He's like, please, let me go, please. Oh, he's going to get the kill as well, because the Reinhardt hammer does move people.
Yeah, he's going to get that kill. And what was also impressive about Superpluke's positioning is that Crandop knew he had Shadow. That way, Crandop was like, I've got a shield towards Superpluke to save my team for the Earth Shadow, but at the same time, Kent's just like, no shield in my way, then. I'm just going to start farming up, and the grab is there, dude. He's ready to lay it down. Chow also ready to use another one of those self-destructs. I'll have to see if it is as effective as his previous efforts. Young and Beautiful will be quite hard in the face of danger. Of course, he's got the reinforcement ultimates of the Rally and the Sound Barrier, which add additional health, better to use against burst damage.
Oh, perfect D. Read Kenzie like a book. Danny finds a nice little entry to the fight. There's a self-destruct high in the sky. Crandop shield is going to fall low, but no one dies from Young and Beautiful. More importantly, Superpluke going extremely aggressive, but Askov falls. And now Eternal Academy are down to Lucio. They can't speed out anywhere whatsoever. And even a self-destruct, destroying Superbluke's shield. He opens up with a shatter even, as a Transcendence went off as well from Eternal Academy.
Feeling the pressure to make the play. The hammer goes down and there's the grab.
Oh, 4 people caught in it. A Transcendence as well being used from Young and Beautiful to make sure they are 6 members on the point, and they finally begin their capture percentage.
Danny got in his head, getting that Escalon, that delicious, that yummy old grab from Kenzie, and now they've got to get on point. Jaws for Wrecking Balls here, but who else is?
They got Ball on the point. They've also got Chow, but he gets instantly demeched and killed. 94%. We've got to see where that Ball is. He's still on the point contesting. Superluke instantly goes down as well. They're still managing to do so. There you go. Zeal finally hits the bottom of the floor. Young Savage is going to claim the kill, but Young and Beautiful claim the point.
And they will have 2 minutes 40 left in the time bank as well. That's a good completion for Hanamura. Jaws. They have now set the pace to which we will now see Eternal Academy try to meet. But first, they're going to have to decide what they want to play here, if they want to try and bring out something a little bit more DPS-oriented. This was what I was expecting, what I was excited for on Hanamura. Point A can be very vulnerable to some more DPS-favored compositions. You can get so much crossfire going on as if you can get through that window, try and circumvent choke points and make sure that you overwhelm a mono-directional shield like a Reinhardt's.
Well, we've already seen Zeal's Pharah. Let's see some more. You can just peek your head over the gate. It's very easy to kind of scout on this map as well. We do see it a lot, of course. The Sombra on the offense can scout out and see what the enemy team's playing, and then you can zip straight back to spawn. Guys, they're running 3-3 with Zen. Let's go Pharah. Let's go something more aggressive.
Or better yet, potentially we'll see a 3-3 with a Moira. Does it like Honey for now? Is going to be playing on that Zenyatta. Wants to play a little bit safer against an enemy 3-3. But the thing is, when you see a Zenyatta on the field, that's when you are most likely to get value out of that DPS, Jaws, because the Zenyatta can only provide 30 HPS via the Harmony Orb at any one time when Transcendence isn't available. That's not the ideal when you're up against so many damage sources that are pumping out maybe 400 to 500 DPS from all of the sources that are available. So maybe you will, if you see a 3-3 with a Zenyatta stick to the DPS, it's easier to overwhelm. Whereas Moira, she's less reliable against an enemy 3-3 because you're going to have a harder time winning the main tank versus main tank duel, but it's far more reliable against a dive or against multiple DPS sources because she can deal up to 400 HPS, getting 80 HPS per target on 5 teammates.
Eternal Academy doing a little bit of scouting with Tri-Spear. There you go, okay. They found out what they want to play because they know exactly what Young and Beautiful is doing right now. Tri-Spear zips back to spawn using Translocator, switches over to the Zen, so it's just a mirror matchup.
And it is. Now to see if point control will be in the favor of Young and Beautiful right now. Looks like we're trying to control the choke. Superpluke's going to try and ferry everyone forward, but he's left out on his own.
Very, very aggressive with Superpluke. He left a good couple of meters in between him and the rest of his team. Maybe a little lapse in communication there, like, guys, I'm going to go in.
Yeah,
Not
you got to join him.
Tri-Spear, yeah. There's no point getting away as Zen at that point. You want to just, unfortunately, feed yourself to Jonah's ult bank, but it does mean you reset quicker and you can go again rather fast.
Yeah, something happened there to Eternal Academy, which meant they could not join Superpluke. Not sure what it was, whether it was a lapse in communication, maybe a bit of a boot from Danny or Young Savage. At any rate, Superpluke went too far in, got isolated, got destroyed, and then that just meant everyone else from Young and Beautiful could farm up so many members who didn't have a shield ready to go. You can see Askoff right now, he's scouting out against Young Savage, who'll put him out of the way.
All right, okay, now they're more along the same page. You see Superpluke moving with the rest of his team. Still going fairly low, of course. That Discord Orb doing so much work. Jonah as well playing really aggro, trying to, like you said, that mono-directional shield, Harry. He's just making his way around it. Jonah's already earned himself a Graviton Surge, and he's just going to be able to back off now. Play a little bit more safe, because they can just wait and just bait them in. Yeah,
and if Superpluke goes too aggressive again, he can be solo-grabbed, and that can often be worth it for Isaiah to just isolate that Reinhardt, ensure that he dies on that first push, and that means that the enemy team's likely going to not stay there. Eternal Academy, they've already lost half their time bank.
They have indeed. Kenzie has the Graviton Surge of his own, so they can match if they really want to. No Diva self-destruct to match for Eternal Academy, but Young and Beautiful have one of their own.
Oh, well, Crandall caught out, though, from the back.
Actually, yeah, flanked completely. He was discorded, and Askoff just managed to find the solo kill on him almost. Big shatter in the back line as well. Superpluke just clean in house. No shield, no worries for the French main tank. Now Eternal Academy are going to cap this point, add an extra 4 minutes to their time bank.
And that's what we talk about when we talk about the lapses in communication, Jaws. Crandop, he went out on his own towards one side. Everyone else went over to the right where we saw them all get earth-shattered. Crandop decided to split off to the left, and that allowed for a rather free flank from Askoff, who wasn't worried about incoming fire towards him and managing to get a huge amount of fire in towards Crandop, who still had to put his shield towards the mainstay of Eternal Academy because they were all moving through the center. He was isolated by himself, quickly dispatched. Young and Beautiful, however, have 5 ultimates, so we should be able to easily win out this next fight if they cycle them correctly and don't layer those support ults.
Jonas had this grab for Tom Surge for such a long time. It's just unfortunate that Crandop got overrun last time around. Now posturing on the point fairly well. Graviton Surge, instant Transcendence from Huni there, and a Shatter as well to make sure the shields can't get removed. Chow's still going to use that Self-Destruct though. Another one coming through from Danny. Can they remove the shield? Yes, they can. Ascroft and Chow end up going down. Chow found one of his own, yes, but spawn priority for the side of Young and Beautiful means Eternal Academy going to go for the resets.
Crandall getting such a good slam there, actually used the Earth Shatter onto Chow, stunning him as he flew in, trying to make sure that Self-Destruct would land into the midst of Young and Beautiful, but by using that stun, it did mean that the Self-Destruct came through a little bit too late, and that was after Jonah used the counter Graviton Surge to ensure that no one could use a mobility-based cooldown like a Shield Bash or like a charge onto Crandop to remove that shield. And when you can remove those abilities to remove the enemy shield, that's when the Reinhardt's going to be in his most safe position and can position himself as well as he would like to try and block out a majority of that blast radius.
Want to get him off the high ground, that's exactly what they just did. Superlight going to have to be a little bit more careful. It looked like he almost slipped off the edge there. You just put a banana peel down like a Mario Kart. That'd be also funny. If only Winston had that ability. Big shatter from the boot, but Danny in the back line once again. See, punishing the Reinhardts for only looking one direction. Tri-Spear still going to take out Crandop though, and man advantage for Eternal Academy. HP advantage though, however, for Young and Beautiful as they use the Transcendence in order to stay alive on the point. Jonah falls as well, and as Eternal Academy now waiting for their main tank to get back, Young and Beautiful can group as 6.
Crandop has that Shadow ready to go. Zeal may well be the one to have to block it, and then it will be the return of Super Fluke.
2 ticks already on the point. The hammer does get laid down, but look at Crandop receiving so much damage and pressure. A Graviton Surge has been used by Eternal Academy, just pinning them to the side, and Kenzie and Super Fluke making mean work of Young Savage and Danny. A grab coming through from Kenzie, locking Jonah in place, and Crandop tried to get back to the point on the hamster, but it wasn't quite enough. Eternal Academy are going to be able to complete.
And once again, when going gets tough, Jaws, Young and Beautiful, they broke down in terms of their communication. We saw so many different targets focused on the point during the lead up to that fight. Chow actually went so low, probably had about 100 health left on his mech, but instead they decided to put the Discord on onto Zeal and tried to chase him down as he went over to a mini health pack. And that wasn't the kind of focus that you need. You got to get rid of Chow, especially when he goes that low. You've already invested so much of your offensive capability into taking him down. You've got to make sure that you can get rid of the brawling ability of that D.Va, because when the fight starts to break down, that non-reloading damage, close range from the fusion cannons, the missiles, the knockbacks, and eventually also the self-destruct is what can really clutch out fights. And if they managed to get the D-Mech thrown onto Chow, could have been all they needed. Oh, I'm excited, George. Could it be real? Could it be real?
I think it is. Chow coming out on the Torb. If you cast your man back a long time ago, did see a lot of Eng Torb on CIS Open Windstrike.
Maybe passing on the ancient knowledge.
Yeah. Speaking about passing on to knowledge too, Young and Beautiful especially, I mean, having Kathy on the roster is such a good, It's such a good use of having him on his team, having him on the team, because he can pass up so much knowledge of Xayah and how to play, like the positioning as well.
A source of wisdom.
Yeah, many of people on this team, Jonah being one of them, can say like, look, you need to do this in this situation, you need to play like this if we're playing like this. It's such an asset to have him on the roster.
Oh, straight back to spawn for Young and Beautiful. We see what we're up against. We're going to decide to potentially go for a more dive-oriented composition. It will be Crandop swapping the main tank. And Honey, of course, wants to no longer be on that Zenyatta. We talked about this before, how much more healing you can get out against so many DPS players with this Moira. Kenzie going to be challenged out potentially in this window, just a couple of mortars coming his way. They'll have to commit if they want to get rid of him.
Oh, didn't quite make it on the roof. You can jump up there, however. Nice kill onto Jonah to actually start off the engagement. Young and Beautiful need to win the fight now, ideally, and Moira's already used that fade, so she's very vulnerable now. She has to play a little bit more safe. You can see round the corner, Zeal doing an absolute ton of damage to the front line. Already earned himself a barrage. He's at 100%. Doesn't need to use it, of course, as Young and Beautiful did lose someone to start off the engagement, just meaning that they more or less won the fight. Some good tiptoeing there from Super Fluke on the edge of a point as well, ensuring he was never putting himself into too much danger of being overrun by the Young and Beautiful 3-3, even while he was still contesting that point. And he gave him a little bit of room as well, so they couldn't really catch him out. Because Super Fluke, of course, and all Aristas are at their most vulnerable. Is that going to actually arc down? Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I feel like he's playing with me right now.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it does.
He's just sending up the signal flare of, come get me, I'm a builder main.
I do play Torb on my Smurf a little bit, but I've never seen a Torb do that. he's already activated his E. And he has Mo and Core, by the way, so he can lay down the lava if needed. There you go, through the window onto the point. And 1 minute remains, by the way, for Young and Beautiful. Instantly was Huni, Jonah, and Flippy destroyed by that barrage. They did not see Zeal coming. Plus, the help with that Mercy too, that damage boost, they didn't stand a chance.
And we noted when Huni was approaching before the usage of a Fade, because it's so important when you're trying to pin him down with DPS heroes. But the same thing happens, Jaws, when Coalescence is active. When you have Coalescence active, it's kind of like a Pharaoh Barrage. You are doing a lot more healing, but by the same vein, you're also very vulnerable. You cannot use a Fade to escape. You have to rely on the enhanced speed and the self-heal that it gives, but that's definitely not enough to survive through a barrage.
Look how aggressive Zeal is playing, always playing in melee range of Young and Beautiful. The Bongo, the Supercharger does go down, and Zeal's going to do a whole much more damage. Same with Chow.
He's got another
destroying the front line under barrage so instantly. They got 20 seconds remaining, and the entirety of Young and Beautiful get team killed.
Oh, you better bring your umbrellas.
15 kill streak.
It's a bloody rainy day, Jaws. That's what it is. 10 seconds remain for Young and Beautiful. Flippy swapping over onto the Wrecking Ball, wants to get back as fast as possible. It's going to have to be speed boosted to make it happen. Zeal's trying to lay down some suppressive fire as he goes. There is the concussive blast, but Flippy will make it.
That was a beautiful bubble by Jonah to make sure he wasn't displaced during that animation of him just rolling. Jonah's going to get taken out, though. Big problem. Chow's going to go melee mode if they're not careful. Jumping onto the point, laying down the Molten Core as well. That Winston Primal Rage isn't going to help you for too long. A beat did come through from Young and Beautiful, though, so they are not out of this fight just yet. Flippy is still alive, but not for long as Zeal pays him a visit with the rockets. And now it is all Kenzie just aiming from the back line, taking out Huni. None of Young and Beautiful are left. No one can touch the point any further, and Eternal Academy are going to find a hold on first.
Not only are they finding the hold, George, they just found the series win, because there's no way now that we can see Young and Beautiful claim this map, meaning that the best scoreline they can achieve, even if they do draw here, will be 2-1 if they can claim Junkertown as our escort map. So Young and Beautiful will not be getting away from this with their first series win. They still have a chance of getting their first map win on Escort, but the best they can hope for here is holding for 3 minutes and 24 seconds and securing themselves a draw. Meanwhile, Eternal Academy, they have claimed their first series. They're going to be sitting pretty, even knowing, okay, first 2 weeks we were just up against really hard opponents. Now it's time to really show everyone what we can do. We've had a bit more time to get together, work out our strategies, and that last strategy, that worked out really well.
The Torp with the Farah. If you did, like I've mentioned this before, but if you saw that in queue, you'd be like, oh man, I don't want to play into this map. Like, please, Torp,
I don't want to do this.
But if it was Chow, to be fair, I probably would let him play Torp. and Zeo too. If you saw him on fire, it's like, okay, you're going to carry. And he did. And like, the amount of barrages he was generating was insane. We saw the one when the Supercharger went down. He was at 20%. And then he instantly got it after a couple of rockets.
Yeah, when
Insanity.
when you have Supercharger, you are doing a huge amount of damage. If you are hitting regular rockets with only the Supercharger on you, you're doing 180 damage per rocket, 50% extra. So basically, you can almost one-shot a Squishy. If you have a damage boost as well, you're doing about 206 damage per rocket, maybe 216. And that is a lot of damage. That's basically half of a Winston's health bar.
It's gross damage. They're going to run normal 3-3, though, on the offense. They only need 33% to claim the map, of course. 3 minutes remain in their time bank.
Crandop going to be holding a little bit aggressively here. Jonah no longer has that personal barrier. Could be the main target of Eternal Academy's aggressions. Right now, they're just going to be going straight forward. It's right onto Crandop.
Wow, Chow just paying a visit to literally everybody, by the way. Just ran through
no health pack for
the entirety of Young and Beautiful to try and get something, but Young and Beautiful were able to find the fight. Kenzie, 5 HP, gets chased down by Young Savage. In fact, he's Savage finding another kill on Askoff too, so nice start from Young and Beautiful. Plus, they had a very variable amount of ult charge. They got a little bit over Kenzie, of course. Super Fluke matching Crandop also, almost.
But crucially, Jaws, a minute of that time bank has now elapsed. That's a good start for Young and Beautiful if they're playing for the draw here. Don't want any negative map score on their permanent record, of course. Already, Kenzie will be using that personal barrier, not getting a huge amount of charge. Super Fluke's not going to be given that either. You can see Young and Beautiful, they're very conscientious to ensure that they're not giving over a large amount of charge to Kenzie. They know that that Graviton Surge is generated oh so more quickly by a high energy Zarya, and that's a major win condition for Eternal Academy.
Crandop going a little bit low. Has received the armor pack, so now they don't really have that at their disposal. Well, Super Fluke also taking a beating in the front line. Ooh. Shatter hits one, but it could be enough to kill him. Zero receives that bubble from the Zarya, but he's already dead. In fact, they do trade bricks here. Eternal Academy, they could just stabilize right now. They have the advantage in terms of spawns.
Yeah, Flip is going to take a while to get back. May even have to give up that Brigitte. Will actually return. Does have a rally. Doesn't want to give that up this time. Crandall is going to be caught out on his own right now. Will be giving him the bubble. That will give him some chance to rotate away. But now he has the Discord Orb.
Big Graviton Surge. The self-destruct's going to come in as well. Can they remove the shield? The boot didn't matter. Danny finds 3. 1 minute and 20 seconds remain for Eternal Academy.
Beautiful boops there from both Lucios, trying to make sure those Reinhardts are controlled. Now it's just going to be chasing down the prey for Young and Beautiful. Probably hoping they could have got 1 tick out of their previous fights, because right now it's looking pretty good for that full hold. Jonah having invested for grab, and the last one does mean Kenzie will have a significant advantage here. Chow just a couple of percentage points away from that all-important self-destruct for the combination. What they need to do is find a way to mitigate Crandop's shield. There are so many potential ways to have these shields move between the self-destruct and a meaty enemy team caught in a Graviton Surge.
As their wink on. Eternal Academy have got 2 tank ults. Chow getting his self-destruct online. It's very scary, but Young and Beautiful do have the answers in terms of support ults. A rally has come forward from Flippy. Flippy kills Tri-Spear instantly. Even a beat coming through from Young and Beautiful. A Graviton Surge locks him in place. They're going to send out a mech. It's going to kill Young Savage. Flippy is going to trade, though his Zeo ends up going down as well. And now only 30 seconds remains for Eternal Academy.
Risky charge here from Crandall. Did manage to stop himself on the rocks. Not going to put himself in the depths below. Askov could be caught out here. Will eat a fire strike, but not much more than that. 16 seconds remain for Eternal Academy. Looking like we could have a draw on our hands here on Hanamura. Kenzie's making the emergency swap over onto that Sombra. Wants to try and get some hacks on the point. That means Superpluke is going to be so vulnerable, but he needs some safety as he looks for this all-important Earth Shatter.
They're going to be able to touch. Graviton Surge comes out. He only finds 1, but look at that from Crandall. Just securing the kill, not only onto Superblue, but shielding off the rest of the team. Both Transcendences are used on the point to keep them alive. Danny even has that self-destruct. The hacks coming out from Kenzie aren't really going to mean much when the rest of his team are already dead. Eternal Academy's time bank depleted to 0. OT is going to tick down as well. And Young and Beautiful are going to be able to hold on first point and signal a draw on Hanamura.
Holding strong with some great plays here. Zeal's just going to be feeding himself in, get a little bit of shield. We'll claim honey, but not much more.
That is done and done. Eternal Academy end up coming up with the draw, but mathematically it's now impossible, like you mentioned before, for Young and Beautiful to claim the series, which means Eternal Academy will find their first one in Contenders Season 1.
Still, I think this is their first map draw at least, so it's the first map that they've not lost. Now, things can only get better. Looking for that win on Junkertown, and this is where you can really try and exploit once again a lot of DPS heroes, so they may be running into that from Eternal Academy once again.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Junkertown is the map, like Legday just said. We're going to be right back, though, after this small break. Eternal Academy find the win in that last map, and which means they secure the first series of Contenders Season 1 in 2019. Young and Beautiful, though, can still find their first map. We are going to Junkertown as our next one.
I'm going to be hungry for it, Jaws, but, well, it does not seem too impressive that Young and Beautiful are yet to claim a map. It's kind of like, it's okay, because this is such a tight format with only 8 teams remaining.
Yeah, the concentration of talent in this season is kind of insane when you think about it. There were 12 teams in Seasons 1, 2, and 3 in 2018, and now we're down to 8. Like, all the good players had to go somewhere, and this season is absolutely stacked. And we mentioned before how even Eternal Academy, yes, they've only just found their first series win, but if you look down that roster, like, there's a lot of big performing players in there. You have a Season 2 winner on your squad as well in Superblue.
When we talk about where this talent has to go, Jaws, for a lot of them, they will be aiming, of course, for Overwatch League. And we do have a couple of changes in our seasonal format from last season, which do make these Contenders players a lot more prepared for the Overwatch League, such as the set maps in the Stages of 4 that we've been showing off today, of course, and on every other day. And, of course, for longer season, where they're playing more games over the course of a longer season. So that it's more reminiscent of a stage in Overwatch League where you would also play 7 games.
Exactly that. That's where they'll be going, shooting for the stars. A lot of French players, of course, have moved over to Paris Eternal. We've seen Hip, who was, again, on the championship winning roster in Season 2. We've seen a lot of French players just move over to join people like Soon and Unco, of course. Yeah,
and Ben Best for picking up that main tank role. We've explored quite a bit of talent, including Kib to the Guangzhou Charge. They're doing very well at the moment, actually. Unfortunately for them, though, they do have to go up against Vancouver Titans twice in Stage 1, so someone on the scheduling committee definitely has it out for them.
Whoever goes up against Titans twice, it's like, well, I'm not sure after week 1 I want to face them, not going to lie. Or week number 2, 3, 4, or 5, to be fair.
Danny, for now, going to be coming out on that bash, and you can see there's actually 2 different shield formations coming out here. We have Flippy and Danny on one side, crammed up on the remainder of Young and Beautiful on the other. But Eternal Academy are going to be holding up rather close.
Oh no, they only just spawned him. Look at that shield chunk and HP chunk on Superblue already. That shield's going to disintegrate, mate. Please get away. Finally, Danny receives a little bit of damage. In fact, he might just go down. He hit his spawn. He was so close. He was healing himself too.
75 HPS coming through from that Selfield, but does run out eventually. We are going to see Crandop attempt to be isolated here from Chow, who's still brawling out. Flippy.
Danny's still on Bastion.
Yeah, Danny's in the main doorway now, so easier to escape. He's going to do 450 DPS to that shield from Superblue.
Okay, Huni just taking the kills.
Matt's into his own hands.
Yeah, it's Danny, go back to spawn, mate. Change up. I'm the one fragging out right now.
He's had enough of these Australian anti-omnic ways.
Oh, well, Danny actually staying on. Maybe they want to leverage the tank form here. Obviously, they can put him on the payload and use that Reinhardt to be a bit more of a shield wall for him. Nope, there you go. Okay, he's switching over instead. Don't want to use that tank form. Was 25% away, really. So.
Yeah, also preferring to brawl out on the deal that he's famous for. But if this means that Chow has such an advantage in terms of charge towards the self-destruct. You can see Superblue going to be claiming as much space as possible here, trying to isolate Crandop. They're getting awfully close to that cliff edge, Jaws.
Nice block by Crandop. And Ascot's going to go down as well. That's a big shatter. What more can you ask from your Reinhardt, really? Blocking the shatter, then instantly hitting one, claiming a kill on Zeal and Superpluke now. Yeah, no one else is going to survive. Genzi was actually trapped on the, I think that's a Portaloo, not entirely sure. But
yeah, I think it's a Portaloo with a septic tank.
Yeah, ouch.
Well,
regardless.
He is deep in the S word.
Nice, Harry. Keeping it Peggy 12.
Absolutely. Kenzie and Jonah both ready to bring out the Graviton Surges in the forthcoming fight. Crandop going to be trying to build up towards yet another one. You talked about how much value he got out of that shatter. Not only did he force out an enemy Transcendence, but he also managed to get a pick through that by delivering the burst damage onto Zeal using the charge. And that's super valuable. If you can still kill people through Transcendence, that makes that ultimate a little bit more worthless.
Nice rotation from Eternal Academy, taking the low ground this time. Young and Beautiful can leverage that mega health pack at their back, but Flippy once again finds the opening frag onto Tri-Spear. Graviton Surge mixed with a self-destruct by Chow. Doesn't quite find anything just yet, and they answer with a Graviton Surge of their own. Danny, Hooney, and Flippy finding a few kills. Jonah's going to die rather fast, and they continue to get the payload moving.
Young Beautiful looking really good here on Junkertown. They do have momentum on their side, of course, but now they've expended a huge amount of their resources. We're going to be counting on Crandop, Danny, and Hooney to get those ultimates before the next fight happens by using some poke tools, such as for fire strikes and, of course, some charged right clicks from Hooney. You can see that he's trying to charge him up at the moment, waiting to see where Eternal Academy are going to come out from. We're going to try and claim the high ground, but whoa, my lord!
That rotation? Superluke's looking back like, team, please get behind my shield. And down the corridor, a lane Earth Shatter onto 4 people. Wasn't quite followed up what they wanted, though. He ended up going down rather quickly.
Yeah,
good re-engagement by Eternal Academy.
Crandop was kind of isolated there, and of course Askov did manage to back everyone up with the sound barrier, giving them the heals to be, or the overshield to be able to live through the swings of Crandop, which he laid upon so many people there, but unfortunately because they were stunned, they do not count towards his ultimate charge as they're affected by his current ultimate. That means Superpluke, once again, going to have a huge advantage when it comes to the Earth Shadow. It means he can play very aggressive compared to a more passive playstyle from Crandop, who knows that this ultimate will be available, going to be trying to keep his team safe from those potential stuns.
Nice little boop away from Superluke to get him out of position. Oh, Shadow does lay down on the back line. A Transcendence might just keep everybody alive. Jonah wasn't quite so lucky as he ended up going down rather fast. And now the rest of Eternal Academy are just going to run down Young and Beautiful. That's Transcendence used fairly early by Tri-Spear in that engagement. He's got to be scared now because Jonah, look, he's only 10% away from his own grab. So that could be the team fight winning combo they're looking for. Yeah, Flip is going to be very happy, but using the rally pressure from that accumulating armor, he did manage to force Tri-Spear into using that Transcendence, which means that Jonah now has very few factors to worry about apart from a potential defense matrix when launching in this Graviton Surge, because it's going to be very hard to answer from the side of Eternal Academy. Young and Beautiful will take the high ground again, potentially going to be a climbing Lucio here and there, trying to boot them off, and there will be some pressure on Cart, going to get it moving, courtesy of Danny on the Diva. Crandop can drop onto the rest of Eternal Academy with his Shatter. He's so close, only 5% away. You can see Eternal Academy, as always, playing a little bit more passively, using that mega health pack room to their advantage. And they are. Crandop wants to desperately get this last bit of percentage. Wall hidden. Oh, it was actually eaten up there by Chow. Good presence of mind. He will get that Earth Shadow ready to go anyway. They need to get a little bit of pressure. Lay it down. He saw it. He went for it, a beat to make sure that they survive the initial engagement. Superpluke now has a Shatter of his own. He can play the shield game with Crandop. Danny is also going to lose his mech. A Graviton Surge comes out onto the payload, but it's going to be met with a Transcendence. Graviton Surge mixed with a self-destruct by Chow, though. Perfect kill onto Jonah and Young Savage. Even a triple kill onto Hooney as well to end it. 1 minute now remains for Young and Beautiful to push this payload to the second point. Not a fan of Young Savage's use of Sambo, but he actually laid it down after the 3-man stun from Crandop, which meant that it didn't get the huge amount of value you would like from everyone being able to attack into that shield. Instead, it was only a small amount of damage that Eternal Academy had available that it was defending against, rather than the burst damage you could have attempted later when Chow used that self-destruct. Crandop, however, did get a lot of ultimate charge in. That Brawl is back up once again towards getting that Earth Shadow, which means that once again, Superpluke has to play passively here. Could try and charge from the top, potentially. Here's a rotation. It's going to be now Young and Beautiful in the defender's spot. Uh-oh. That rally's going to give him a whole boon of armor too. Zeal goes solo. Look at that boop. Straight on Crandop, but he 180s. Gets the Shatter. Perfectly timed Transcendence, though, from Tri-Spear. They're going to be able to touch, of course. There's a couple of meters now remain for them to deliver that payload. A Graviton Surge locks them all in place, though. 3 kills for Superpluke. A Transcendence, a desperation from Ahuni to try and keep them alive on the payload. That Earth Shatter straight on the Baby Diva should seal the deal for Eternal Academy. 3 meters remained for Young and Beautiful, but Eternal Academy snatched it right out of their hands.
It was looking so good for Young and Beautiful as they went into second draws. They won 2 fights in a row, maybe 3 using the Bastion at the start. They had momentum on their side, but they just overcommitted here and there. Crandup got a good shatter. He got 4 people down, but he was the only one up on the high ground. Who's going to come and follow that up? You're going to get Young Savage just trying to boop everyone. It doesn't do a huge amount of damage by itself, I'm afraid, so there was no ability to follow up there. Crandup and the rest of Young and Beautiful were then sort of taken. They were staggered in terms of ultimate usage. They could not regain the stability in the combinations. They could not regain momentum. And Eternal Academy had some good rotations of their own ultimates. Sometimes when we saw the overusage of something like a Transcendence from Tri-Spear being traded for Flippy's Rally, that was the opportunity for Young and Beautiful to make something work there. But good usage of a high ground from Eternal Academy, as well as great rotations against Young and Beautiful, were really what helped them secure that second point.
I can hear it from here, Harry. Push to talk has been activated. Still winnable, boys. We can still do this. There is a distinct win condition right now for Eternal Academy. They need a point, and they need 84 meters in order to claim the map. That's only just a couple of meters, like we mentioned before, away from that second point. Fairly even spawn distances as well, both for the attacking and defending teams. So
we've seen some good defense as well from Young and Beautiful, notably on Hanamura for 3.5 minutes, not giving up any ground at all. And I feel like Eternal Academy could come to regret their ceding of ground for their payload in that last fight. They got so aggressive onto Jonah and Crandup after that boot that came through from Ascoff, which was very much in their favor for helping them to pick off those players, but not putting anyone to mark the cart could have allowed just a couple of meters that may allow an entire extra fight. Chao's going to come out on the Bastion, lay down a lot of damage, and he's got his own pocket Brigitte this time. Yeah,
beautiful little position there from Zeo, yeah. Protecting Chao to make sure no one can just plink him out of the sky. Of course, the Zenyatta will do that rather easily. So will the Lucio. Does a lot of damage if you hit consecutive shots on a Bastion like that. Crandup again gets booped into the team, but this time Jonah is ready and waiting. He saw it coming and was able to bubble him before he went down.
Still trying to leverage the high ground to get the drop onto Crandup, but was quickly punished there. And now Chao trying to claim that high ground. Will get it off Danny, but will also cede.
Oh, another massive flame strike by Superpluke. Look at the ult disparity in the Reinhardts already. 86% going on 90 versus 30 for Crandup.
Yeah, it's going to have to be Honey who picks up the slack right here and use that Earth Shatter, or rather use the Transcendence against the Earth Shatter. Superpluke's getting so aggressive right now. Crandup needs to be overwhelmed. 3 down.
Boot by Chao removes Crandup from his team, lays down the Shatter. It's going to get answered though with a Transcendence. Can they see this fight out? They managed to kill off Chao's mech and Ascoff, so they do manage to win this fight despite Tri-Spear using that Transcendence.
And what a great job from Crandup as well to get the counter charge onto Superpluke when he had so many members knocked down. He knew that the only chance to get the pick there would have been to pin someone through that Transcendence that Honey was using, but instead Crandup manages to get in his way, get the counter charge. Both of them were stunned, but crucially, Superpluke at that point was in the middle of 3 people who were getting up and hungry for revenge on the person who had staggered them. So punishing the aggression there, some good work by Crandup, who now is almost ready to use his own Earth Shatter, but potentially wants to use that before Jonah used for Graviton. Kenzie may force his hand, however.
Huni was so quick on the Q key as well, was able to get out that trance before everybody went down. Graviton Surge comes through from the back line. Kenzie has one of his own. His self-destruct launched into the skies as well.
My Lord.
What a shatter from Crandup. Danny nets 2 kills onto Superpluke and Zeal with his own. And now he once again, Eternal Academy forced to reset.
Big cleanup there from Danny. Eternal Academy, half of their time bank is gone. Jaws starting to get a little bit sweaty under the collar. Chao was unable to combine with Kenzie for that combination, which has become oh so famous within the 3-3 compositions. Now he's going to have to try for a vanilla bomb, maybe try and catch out either Honey or Young Savage. But of course, Honey can save himself with the invincibility granted by the Transcendence. Once again, Superpluke gaining some ground. Have to see if he's going to be ready to posture in.
There's the self-destruct from Chao. It's a solo one. It manages to find one, though. Flippy is dead. Crandup, as he was left alone in the outback, went down as well. Ascoff just chasing him on the Lucio. And now Superpluke's going to be able to clean up. Jonah's going to at least find 1 kill in Tri-Spear, but dying on the payload to buy as much time as possible. Danny's got that self-destruct very soon. He's 40% away, but he builds it up so quickly.
Crandop there suffered just too much burst damage from an incoming self-destruct. 1 minute remains right here for Young and Beautiful. We'll have to see if a challenge will come through. Does look like Crandop is not ready for that. Just going to claim the high ground instead. We'll have to see if Eternal Academy will be ready to go up against the high ground defense. We'll likely see Young and Beautiful make an engagement once that door has shut behind the payload. You've got to be very well timed here with your engagement to ensure that door closes. Not only does it block off an avenue of disengagement, but also it ensures that subsequent attacks will not be as effective.
Oh, hi Chow, bye Chow. Just scouting up on the high ground. Just making sure he knows what he's up against.
Door's now closed. This will be the moment for an engagement. Superbluke already taking a bit of Fire Strike poke, but he has the Earth Shatter ready. It's very hard to learn those on people who are up on the high ground, though, Jaws.
He's keeping an eye on Young Savage. He saw him. Young Savage tried to go for the boop again on Superbluke to force him into his team, but he managed to flex his shield upwards. Flippy flexing on Zeal right now as well. Graviton Surge used by Eternal Academy. They want to go on this fight. I'm not sure they kind of want to now, though, as Superbluke ends up going down. Very early grab from Kenzie. Doesn't really net anything. They managed to find the main tank, yes, but there was no follow-up after that.
Yeah, definitely. Superbluke was way too far away there to have used that Graviton Surge, and I'm not blaming Superbluke for that. That was a poor decision made by Vizaya. When you're up against a 3-3, there's just too much healing to not be able to deliver the burst damage if you get that solo grab onto an enemy main tank. It isn't always a bad choice, but they couldn't get a good angle on the charger from Superbluke. Danny ready for some shenanigans from behind, potentially, if he wants to combine with a Graviton Surge from Jonah.
And Danny as well. It wasn't really impressive in the early seasons of 2018, but it's just come alive in this season 1 of 2019. He's just pummeling Chow. Self-destruct up high in the sky. Transcendence isn't going to do nothing for this. It's going to explode, at least kill Chow's mech, but he used a self-destruct of his own to re-mech. He manages to kill Flippy too. Where was Flippy in all that? I'm not entirely sure. And now Crandop's going to fall as well. There's only a few meters before Eternal Academy are going to be able to sink the win on this map as well. Young and Beautiful need to be able to get back to the payload.
Crucially, though, Kenzie has yet another chance to use the Graviton Surge in a potentially final fight, Jaws. Eternal Academy are running low on time, but Young and Beautiful are running low on ultimates, lives, and distance. They may have 2 ready for the forthcoming fight. It's going to be a rally to reinforce them, but Zeal using the 3D peek here, going to spot himself out as Crandop puts himself in the way of danger.
Oh my goodness, he's so close to going down. That rally plus the Transcendence
for
so
grab.
good. Uh-oh, now Zeal's going to go down. Superbluke's gone too. Graviton Surge thrown out by Kenzie again.
Why?
At the end of the fight, it seems they've got a minute now remaining. They're going to have to rely on Superbluke hitting the fattest shatter in order to sink this map. Well, bring it to a W, in fact. Chow's going to get mad staggered too.
A potential back out there from someone.
Oh, no.
Was
Askoff, yeah.
Just having to get himself reset here. Eternal Academy. Once again, their time bank looking strained, strenuous. 40 seconds remain, and they don't have that playmaking ultimate with Graviton Surge. Jonah didn't get a huge amount towards his own right there, only 50% of the way, but that is significantly more than Kenzie currently has. Crandop and Superbluke. This is going to be a tale of 2 Shadows, Jaws, under whom will the ground crack more viciously.
Crandop jumping down from the high ground. Young and Beautiful still posturing this cart fairly well. Shadow goes through the payload.
Lord.
It hits people, Harry, but look, Tri-Spear already using the Transcendence to try and keep them in this fight. They're going to have to be in this fight for a little bit longer. 10 seconds now remain. A Shadow comes through. It hits 2. Is this going to be it? Danny launches a self-destruct right on top of the shield. He doesn't find anything just yet. And by the time he remeched, all of his team are already dead. Crandop's going to go down. Young Savage is going to follow as well. And now Danny clutching at straws to kill the rest of the team. But it's not going to be enough. Eternal Academy 3-0ing Young and Beautiful in this game as they signal the end of the map.
No one can get there. George Jonah was so close to that grab, but he was stunned and melted by the aggressions of Eternal Academy. There was a good 2-man shadow there from Crandop. I thought that could have been it, but there was some great responses from the enemy tanks. We saw Superbluke able to keep himself up, as well as some good shields coming through from Kenzie defending those who had fallen. Some great responses. Felt like the shot calling really cleaned up in that final fight.
It definitely did, and something that we touched upon during the game too. A lot of players on Young and Beautiful have been around before, and I spoke about Danny. He wasn't like the most standout diva player. He definitely fit in the dive meta we had back in Season 1, and then again moving into quad tank and 3-3 in later seasons. But this time around, it honestly feels like a brand new Danny. It feels like a brand new diva player stepped on to Overwatch and is ready to rock and roll. This team is nothing to be messed with. You saw the hold that they managed to pull off back on Hanamura.
New season, new me. They've got 4 weeks still, Jaws, to try and pick up that series win or even that map win that thus far does elude them. But this will be a cause for celebration for Eternal Academy. There were some doubts about them, but they were, of course, up against very tough competition in the first 2 weeks. Now, seems like they finally hit their stride.
It does indeed. That was a beautiful block by Superpluke as well. Superpluke, once more, just kind of performing out of his mind. This Shatter game has really been there for him. He's been managed to read Crandop like a bit of a book, right? And that's it's kind of an overused phrase, yes, but that's exactly what he did do. More often than not, we are seeing Crandop play rather aggressively. It's like, okay, we're going to just play a little bit more passively, defensively, just wait for you to come into us, and then we're going to punish you as soon as you make an overstep or as soon as your shield health is low.
That said, I do think Crandop has also been quite an impressive main tank right here. He's landed a couple of good shatters. Now and then he is losing out in these wars, but I do feel like he is building up a good bit of synergy with Jonah, considering that Jonah is a new addition for this week, getting some pretty good shields in. Of course, right now, I've got to wonder about the quality of Graviton Surges from Kenzie. Is that going to improve over the week's fourth?
Kind of has to, because you got to think about the 3-3. Desire is one of the main damage dealers in that comp. She's going to be 100 energy more often than not. And you're waiting for that grab to come out to bring up to a shatter and then rolling it on from there. But signaling that, it does mean that Eternal Academy have found their first win in Contenders. So that's going to be a big boom, not only for their confidence, but for obviously their scoreline as well, which means later weeks, they don't have to panic as much as they would have done earlier on today.
Yeah, they do have some valuable VODs to look back on as well, like how they managed to mess up on that Hanamura attack for so long. That's going to be very valuable to Coach Swoosh and informing future decisions from the team.
Hey, well, look at that. We've got an interview with Eternal Academy as well. We'll see who it is on the line. It's like, I feel like Chris Tarrant from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire almost.
Oh, it's
hey,
Chow.
How's it going?
Hey, doing fine, doing fine.
Yeah, good
Thanks.
stuff. How did that feel? First win under your belt already? Was a little bit of a dicey, maybe Hanamura game. It did end up in a draw, but must feel pretty good.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like already. I would say we got it finally. Yeah, of course, the first two matches weren't the easiest ones. I would even say that we faced the hardest opponent in new Contenders, which is Giganti. But still, like it feels good to win. It feels good, especially to revenge my previous team.
On a scale of 1 to the Fran, how would you rate your team's Torbjorn?
I didn't hit that many shots, but my turret didn't miss at all. I didn't get destroyed once, so it's fine. It's all good.
Beautiful. Good KD on the turret.
Have you've been practicing that kind of strat a lot? That seemed like quite out of left field. I'm assuming you took a couple of lessons from Aang on Torb?
That's actually CS Hope strat. That's exactly like 1-to-1 CS Hope strat. We just copied it.
Okay.
We just brought it to the team.
Has there been much influence then from CIS Hope, your previous team, of course, that you're with Kenzie on, coming into the squad now?
I mean, we tried to play Mei. Like, we tried to convince people to play Mei, but they were not really convinced. So we only played it on Lijiang Control Center, but still, yeah. I mean, we're trying stuff. We're trying stuff.
Speaking of CIS Hope, though, I want to know what it's like changing from CIS Hope, which, as far as we were aware, was more of like a player-centric strategy, to kind of team where you have a head coach who's often informing your strategy. Is it very different as a team member to play in that kind of environment?
Not really, because in this team, like, even though Swoosh is like the main voice of the team, he still lets us speak. So we all have ideas and we bring them to the table, and in the end, it's just another person. It's just the seventh player that decides what to do. He does a lot for the team, but yeah, as for difference, the biggest difference for me is the language. Like, I had to get used to it, I guess. But now I'm forgetting Russian words, so it's fine.
Well, that can't be very good. But hey, at least you're finding it a little bit more comfortable now in the team. Obviously, that language barrier is going to take you a little while to come over. But thank you very much, Chow, for the interview, and good luck in your future weeks. All right, okay, perfect words from Chow there. You know, it took him a little bit of time to integrate and go towards the English style of communication, which is obviously a big change from Russian.
Yeah, but it's also a big boon, because when you look towards moving into Overwatch League, currently it doesn't look like there's going to be like a Russian-centric kind of Overwatch League team, so if you can easily slot into those English communications, that's going to make you far more attractive as a pickup, because when we look at teams such as like the Guangzhou Charge, they all communicate in English, because it seems to be the easiest middle ground between Chinese players, Korean players, and of course European and North American players in both Kib and Nero. So having that ability to communicate in English efficiently for Overwatch, and especially in a more deep level when communicating with your coaches, is a huge boon for both Chow and Kenzie.